Hello, this is Karen Johnson with another edition of our Proctors Historical Tapes. The taping date is August 24th, 2015, and we're very pleased today to have two women who've been very critical to the history of Proctors, and that is Marie Gorman, who was president of the Guild in 94 to 96, and Sylvia Anapolis, who's just beginning her term as president of the Guild this year. Both longtime volunteers, and we're delighted to have you as we celebrate the Guild's 25th anniversary.
Thank you, Karen.
Now, I saw you before we came down here doing something else. What were you up to?
We were having fun stuffing envelopes for our 25th anniversary gala, and that's part of the fun of the Guild.
And we all chatted about different things that happened over the weekend and our grandchildren and children and so on and so forth. So it is good fun.
There's so much camaraderie in the Guild, and you meet new people and become really good friends, all doing great volunteer work.
One of the ladies even brought her granddaughter with her from Buffalo and her sister-in-law with her. So you see, we're pulling everybody in from all angles.
Get those envelopes out. Marie, do you remember how you got involved in being a volunteer at Proctors?
Well, I'm a native Schenectadian, and I've always been a fan of Proctors. And of course, we had Plaza and the State, but my favorite was always Proctors Theater. And so as a young girl, I'd come here to watch movies, and then when they tore it, or were beginning to tear it down, I decided that I needed to do something. So I was a little young and had children then, so I couldn't do much then. But then when Betty Carol Barlin decided to start an organization like they had in New York City with the Metropolitan Opera, she asked me to come on board with her to help her begin that process. And really, that's how I became a member of the Guild and how that started. So, yeah, and I've been there ever since. And how many years? 1993 minus
25. 25.
The whole time.
Oh, yes.
That's great. And Sylvia, how did you get involved with Proctors?
Well, actually, I was very active in St. Clair's Hospital when that was functioning, and Sue Senecal, who is a nurse, and she used to come in there to talk to patients. She was an interim through a nursing facility that she worked for at the time, and she said, why don't you come down and join us? I think that you would enjoy it. And first thing I know, she had me as co-chairman of the gala that year. So that's how I became involved.
And she's a worker. She's at everything. I admire her energy.
But you are also an usher.
I'm also an usher here. Yes, I am, and have been an usher for many years, and I love it. And anytime that I can fill in when somebody can't make it, I just right down there. And but on the other hand, I must say that it might be a little bit selfish on my part too, because rather than staying home alone and thinking, oh, what am I going to do tonight, or so on and so forth, I go to Proctors.
And you have completely absorbed your life in this.
Right,
no,
right.
Not totally, but
Right.
I'm sure there are a lot
good
of
deal.
people like that who
Yes, I
really
think so.
Proctors,
Fills a big void.
it gets in under your skin, and you gotta keep going.
Yeah.
right. It's great. I mean, Proctors is really lucky to
we
have
are
this.
So fortunate. As I said, having been a native Schenectadian all my life, it's so wonderful to see, what they're doing down here, and what Proctors is doing, what Philip Morris has instigated, and you, Karen. You were here too in 1993.
Well, there were many people here, and it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Great staff too, really family oriented.
So tell me, Marie, what are your memories of being Guild president?
Well, it was so long ago, I'm having a little difficult time remembering, except that I do remember when I was president, and you played a big part, Karen. We started what was known as Act Two, which was a consignment and antique shop. Was over across actually where Apostrophe is, And it was an outlet for people who wanted to sell things that they had at home. We figured we had some members of our audience who were older and were starting to, get rid of household items, and was a little extra money for the theater. And people would bring things here, and they're on consignment. And I remember when we started, we were interviewing, we thought we'd have a paid volunteer, or a paid, I shouldn't say volunteer, a paid person to oversee. But then the guild members came through, and they all worked a shift, probably I think 3 days a week we started out. And we were open most of the morning and afternoon, and we built up a really good clientele. But as things change, things happen, and that we haven't had that for quite a while now. But that was one of the main things. The other thing that I thought we should do, and we should continue to do, I had a newsletter that I printed and had put out 4 times a year to let the guild members know what we're doing. I know Proctors has their own newsletter, which is lovely, and but at least this let people know what we were doing by the month. So that worked out very nice, and I'm trying to think of the events we did. I just remember one event, and I don't know why we had the theme, but I know that we needed tablecloths for this event that we were having, and we couldn't afford tablecloths. we had about 10 tables, and we needed really huge round tablecloths. So we decided that we would get some white sheets and paint them and use them on the table. So we just had a ball. It was crazy, but that's the fun thing about the guild. They're willing to do fun things and different things, innovative things. So we all were standing there and was throwing paint on tablecloths. And I remember thinking, what am I going to wear to this gala? And I can't remember what the show was. Maybe it was Paint Your Wagon or something. But anyway, I decided to go home, and I had this white dress, and I thought, oh, that's kind of old. I don't need it much anymore. So I was throwing paint on. I had my grandchildren there, and they were throwing paint on this dress, and it turned out to be a really lovely dress.
Is this a family heirloom now?
Yeah. So anyway, it was kind of fun, yeah. Maybe, I remember George Burns being here too for one of the galas. Mm-hmm. And then there was another gala we had, and it was an afternoon lunch because we did a lot of lunches. And the gal who came, one of the stars, I can't remember her name, but she made pins. I don't know, do you remember Sylvia?
Oh, that was,
who was that?
The woman from the medical
The
Yeah,
show on
show,
TV,
yeah.
right? What was her name? I can't remember.
and she gave a talk, but she really just wanted to sell
the
jewelry.
pins,
Right.
yeah.
And I know I bought one, and I still have it. It's
Oh,
not
good.
very pretty, but it's colorful, let's put it that way. So.
So they were like houses and stuff or something, and crazy designs, yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I have, which I cherish, is a piece of the stage. They were selling the little wooden pieces of the stage. Do you remember that, Karen?
Yes.
When they were redoing the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another interesting era to live through. It's the renovations of the stage. And of course, they've been renovating the theater ever since. So I wish I could remember more, but it was a long time ago. And some of the things that we
You're
had.
doing pretty well.
Those were the stood out in my, and of course, starting the guild room, that was another process.
And that happened right after you were
Yes.
president.
Exactly right.
And it was originally downstairs,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And it was very theatrically decorated.
Yeah.
Was
Yes.
it Van Johnson's decorator who came here to help us out, and it was all with dark red curtains and as I say, really theatrical.
Red silk brocade,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
walls.
Yeah, we were very
That
proud
was-
of it, as we still are proud of the guild room and the volunteers in the guild room. So yeah, so I've been through everything here because I never stopped volunteering. That was one of my favorite, there's other volunteer efforts that I I do, and they're fun, and they're lovely, and they're nice, and they do good works. But this is
Has a
probably-
special place in your heart, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when you mentioned the newsletter, now we're so much more prone to communicate by email.
Yes.
Right.
It's
Yeah. Which
just
is-
amazing in that relatively short time how our communications have all changed.
Right.
And mostly the emails come, we need some volunteers to stuff envelopes.
Yes.
We need some volunteers to help with a special event.
And it sounds insignificant when you think come and stuff invitations, but it does so much for you, doesn't it? I mean, really.
Oh, yes.
Just. You know,
I've gotten
so-
emails like that, and it seems like I answer them immediately. You know, yeah, I can be there, and I'll get one back. That's okay. We're full. We're staffed.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
so
right.
there are a lot of people that just jump in right away. So
They
we
do.
never have to worry about
They look
that.
forward.
You have to
Yeah.
come and pour water for everybody. Something like that.
Do something, right?
Yeah.
Well, Sylvia, what events has the Guild had that are
Well, the things that stand out in my mind that have been fun and we're getting a lot of feedback on is we started what we call Taste of Home. And for the Broadway shows, we invite the cast and crew to come, and all of us Guild members make kind of like our favorite recipe or what we think the kids would like and so on. And we host a luncheon, and they come in and they're just, oh, my grandmother used to make deviled eggs. I can't believe it, And then just tell me, like, what's in this? Some of them are very picky about what's in something, and they always have room for dessert. They love the brownies and the cookies and so on. And they sit around and chat with us, and they're very willing to share their stories. Was your mother and father happy when you decided you were going to go in the theater? Well, not quite, but I think now that I'm in it, they even come to see me. So, or you will get people whose parents were involved in theater or music or something relative to the theater. So, and the little children that come, they bring a tutor, and they are, go to school during the day. Very often just have to come and grab something quick at the luncheons and go back. And people that you think are like in the acting end of it or the makeup end of it. I remember speaking to a woman and saying, now just what do you do for, she says, well, I'm the carpenter. And so she was doing the sets, and they have one special person, many of them, that just does the ironing or the sewing. So we also learn a lot about what the people do behind the scenes, and that's fun. And the other thing that we started, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, we started it out as a girls' night out, and had a lot of vendors here selling various things from scarves to handbags to pins to this, that, and the other thing. And we had a couple of wineries that set up wine tasting and little finger sandwiches and this type of thing. And Lisa Perazzo, who coordinates a lot of this stuff, is always thinking ahead. And she thought, well, if the gals like this, how about the guys? So now we have named it Pink and Brew. And very often the couples will come together, and we've started now having psychics. And they have to sign up for the psychics, and they get 7 minutes with the psychics. We have 3 of them generally, and it opens at 6 o'clock. By 6:20, every appointment is filled for the psychics. So last year we had going saying, your 7 minutes are up, your 7 minutes are up. So they didn't really move too quick. So I'm at a garage sale after that, and I see a teacher's bell, the one that you bang like the old ones. So I said, I've got to get that bell. So this year, we clonked the bell at 7 minutes, and how fast they moved, so that worked. All these crazy little things.
What about Lunch with Santa? Isn't that
And
fun?
Lunch with Santa it's a sellout. I mean, we don't even have to advertise that. It's probably will be filled by the middle of October, I think, with the kids as well as the parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters of these little kids. Everybody enjoys that, and then they come in and see the Nutcracker after that. And this year we did a princess luncheon too, and many of our guild members found tiaras and boas, and they were dressed as well as all the little girls that came in dressed. And they loved that, and that was for what show was that, Marie, that we did that?
Is the ballet?
No, it wasn't the ballet. Well, anyway, they came in from the show, the gals dressed as princesses, and had their pictures taken with the little girls, and seemed to just treasure those pictures. And the people who have chaired that for many years, Pat and Keith Barney, all of these little extra events, we filled goodie bags with everything from genuine diamond rings to crayons and color books and scratch pads and everything else, and they love getting all those little goodie bags. And we have, going back to Luncheon with Santa, we have a great Santa and Mrs. Claus who
That's with the Nutcracker.
that's
Sweet,
with the
right?
Nutcracker. Yes. And all the children like to have their picture taken with Mrs. Claus and Santa, and
Or members of the guild.
yes, members of the guild too, and that works out very, very well. This year, just a week ago, as a matter of fact, not even a week ago, on Friday night, we tried something new, which was, let me get this right, barbecue, bacon,
And bourbon.
bourbon and beer, and we had a mechanical bull, and you could just stand there and watch these people on this mechanical bull all night, who I never had any idea. They set it in the middle of a bouncy bounce. So when you fall off, you just bounce. You don't have to worry about getting hurt. And
They have a beer belly.
they had a beer belly
Contest?
contest. Either you had a six-pack or you had a keg. And someone gave a line dancing demonstration and lesson, and we had people participating in that. But I don't think there was anyone that didn't have a great time that night. Great country western band, and so many people dressed the part with the cowboy boots and the cowboy hat and the jeans and the vest, and so it was just really great. And then the evening was just made to order. It was perfect.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
you
was,
sound very busy, which is good.
yeah.
And the guild also runs the guild room,
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
which involves providing hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every single show. There have to be
Anything on the
hostesses.
main stage, yes.
Right.
Anything that's on the main stage.
We also, a few years ago, had the Festival of Trees. For about 3 years in a row, we would set up the trees and ask organizations to decorate the trees, and then people would come, and it was very lovely. But, after a while, you do things 2 or 3 times, and you want to do something that's innovative, and that's
Well,
what we try to do.
And we got more shows around Christmas time, I think, too, and couldn't keep the trees up
Yeah.
because they were in the boxes and all around there. The other thing that people get very excited about is our raffle. And this year we tried a spring raffle. We have always had a raffle at Christmas time, and there's 2 gals who've run it for a long time, Sue Hansen and Teresa Smith. And they start collecting, they'll start collecting in January for next December. And they're various things from wine baskets to tickets to the theater, to a weekend someplace, to maybe airline tickets. And a few years ago, we started a lottery tree with scratch-off lottery tickets on it, and that has proved to be a very, very popular item. And this year, we decided, well, if it was so successful November, December, how about if we try it in the spring? So we did it, March, April, and it was very profitable for us to get a few extra dollars, and that was more gated towards summer things, like we had a portable barbecue set there, and a picnic someplace, and someone had what was it, a tea on their porch or something, and it was just very nice and did raise a few dollars for the Guild.
So basically, the Guild is there to raise money for the theater, to help
Yes.
with projects, to create and support special events that make people want to come to Proctors.
Yes.
To be ambassadors of Proctors Theater. To
So can
promote.
anybody join the Guild?
Certainly, we're always happy to take anybody,
Yeah.
anybody that
have
wants
to
to
be
come in.
members of Proctors, and then a $15 dues for the Guild, but that's mainly.
And then you start getting the emails.
We have an orientation in September, and that is when we invite members to
Members
come,
to
and
come.
we talk about, the duties of the Guild room, and talk about the events, the upcoming events, and that's when you're able to sign up for any of the events, if anything that you want to do. We also have a luncheon and an end-of-year dinner every year, just so that we keep our members,
And
focused.
sometimes trips to shows on Broadway.
Oh, yes,
Right,
yes.
yeah.
So it's been a great variety of activity, and people who are doing it just really enjoy it. And I think maybe we need to just let people know that they're welcome to
Promote it.
join us. It's
Yeah, this year
It's
we
fun.
went to see An American in Paris, and since, as Philip explained to us, that Proctors has a piece of the action, so we were all very anxious to go to New York and see that, and it was a great trip. Again, basically planned by one of our members, and that was very successful. And I think, well, we had a full bus, and this year they're already thinking about maybe going to see Hamilton, since that's getting such rave reviews, and Julie Biffro is working on that.
We
so.
also had events around, what is it wasn't the Golden Globes. What is it?
Oh, the
Emmys.
The Emmys, yeah. When we have had a couple of events back in the years that I
The
was
Oscars,
president.
was
The
it? What, it was
Oscars.
the
the
No, not
Tonys.
the
yeah,
Oscars.
the Tonys, the Tonys, yeah,
Tonys,
yeah.
that's what it was. And,
So it's a changing world in the Guild. There are new projects all the time.
All the time.
Everyone's welcome. You
Yes.
have 25 years under your belt, and
Yep.
the theater is just so grateful to have you.
And everybody is so generous, Karen. I remember last year when we wanted to present a check to the theater, we were short $731 to make it a major rounded figure. And one of the Guild members said, "How much was that?" $731. Just a minute, I'll get my checkbook. And she sat down and wrote a check for $731 to make it this large amount that we could donate to the Guild, I mean to Proctors. And that's the way the ladies are.
Right. Well, that's
Oh, and I've got to
Oh.
clarify that. It's not only ladies. We have some men that are in the Guild too.
Yes.
And as most of them say, if I'm in something, my husband's in it too, because I just drag them along, and then they find that they like it almost more than I do. So, yeah, so we do have some men that are very active, and
Right.
in the Guild rooms, I would also like to say that when we staff it with 2 bartenders and a greeter at the door who just kind of checks people in, and then we have one or two other people, generally one, just kind of floats around and makes sure that everybody is having a good time and they can go and get another drink if they want. And it's amazing how real wine drinkers prefer drinking wine out of a glass rather than anything plastic. But since they can carry drinks into the theater, when they come up during intermission, we usually encourage them to take whatever they want in plastic, because then they can carry it back into the theater. So,
And if you're a guild volunteer, guild room volunteer, you do have the opportunity to see the shows
exactly.
for, nothing. So that's always a
Well, I
incentive.
think everyone who's watched this today can see that this is a very valuable organization, and I want to thank both of you for
Thank
taking
you.
the time to talk to us, because we're spanning a number of years and two very dedicated volunteers and lots of projects. Some came, some went, but the basic thing is that the Guild is still supporting
Yeah.
Proctors in
And we're
the
looking
best way possible.
forward to
Yes.
the future, another 25 years of fun and events.
Right.
And you do have a gala coming up, and of course, anyone who wishes would be able to come to that. All they need to do is call Proctors, and we'll put you in touch with the right person.
Right.
So thanks so much for
Well,
coming
thank
and
you.
talking
Thank
to us
you.
today.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, believe me, to be working with theater.